Is the INFJ and INTP golden pair really as perfect as everyone says? Or is there a deeper, more complex story waiting to be uncovered? We're diving beyond the surface-level hype to reveal the truly nuanced dynamics of this rare and often misunderstood personality pairing. Prepare to have your perceptions challenged. Deconstructing the golden myth. For years, forums, aesthetic edits, and compatibility charts have crowned INFJ and INTP as the ultimate golden pair. It sounds irresistible. Rare minds, deep souls, intense conversations at 2 a.m., a quiet bond that no one else understands. The internet paints this pairing as effortless. He reads her mind, she understands his silence, they both love psychology, philosophy, and staying inside, so what could possibly go wrong, right? But that fantasy leaves out something crucial. Real INFJs and INTPs are not archetypes. They are humans with trauma, habits, insecurities, ego, blind spots, and wildly different ways of processing life. That golden label is not a promise. It is a projection. And in this video, we are going to peel back the romanticized narrative and step into how this pairing actually works. The beauty, the friction, the misunderstandings, and the growth required if they are going to thrive. First, let us strip away the stereotypes and look at who we are actually dealing with. An INFJ is often described as the visionary counselor. Future-oriented, emotionally tuned in, pattern-seeking, and driven by a deep sense of purpose. They read between the lines, navigate emotional undercurrents, and want connection that feels authentic, safe, and meaningful. An INTP, on the other hand, is the analyst, the architect, the one pulling systems apart to see how they work. Logical, skeptical, curious, detached when processing, brilliant at spotting inconsistencies and questioning assumptions. They crave intellectual freedom, mental stimulation, and room to wander in their inner lab. On paper, it clicks instantly. One leads with intuition about people and meaning. The other leads with logic and frameworks. Together, they promise balance. In reality, that balance only happens if both are mature enough not to weaponize their strengths against each other. So why does this pairing feel so magnetic? For INFJs, the INTP can feel like a safe harbor for their complexity. The INTP is not intimidated by depth, questions, or contradictions. They invite the INFJ to explore ideas without judgment, to go meta, to break the rules of conventional thinking. For INTPs, the INFJ feels like someone who finally sees past their awkwardness, bluntness, or emotional distance and recognizes the warmth, loyalty, and idealism underneath. The INFJ can translate emotions into language, connect dots in the INTP's life story, and give a sense of direction to all that abstract thinking. Both are introverted, both tend to feel misunderstood by the world, and both want something more than small talk and shallow relationships. That shared sense of otherness is powerful. It creates an us against the world energy that can bond them fast and intensely. But here is where we have to challenge the myth. The same traits that pull them together can just as quickly pull them apart. The INFJ wants emotional attunement, intentional reassurance, and a feeling that their inner world matters. They might not always say it directly, but they feel it deeply. The INTP cares, but their default mode is internal analysis, not emotional expression. When stressed, they disconnect, go silent, and retreat into their thoughts. To an INFJ, that can feel like rejection, abandonment, or coldness. To an INTP, it is just how they reboot. Now flip it. The INTP wants independence, intellectual honesty, and room to question everything. The INFJ, with strong convictions and finely tuned instincts, can come across as controlling, morally certain, or quietly intense when things do not align with their intuition. The INFJ thinks they are protecting the connection. The INTP feels emotionally managed or pressured to conform to a feeling they do not yet logically understand. Communication is where the golden myth either evolves or collapses. The INFJ often speaks in implications, subtext, and emotional cues. They drop hints, expect resonance, and hope the other person will pick up what they are not fully comfortable saying. The INTP communicates in precision and detachment. They like clear terms, definitions, and direct questions. So when an INFJ says they are fine but clearly are not, the INTP either takes it literally or gets frustrated trying to decode invisible rules. When an INTP treats a sensitive topic like an interesting puzzle and not a raw nerve, the INFJ can feel dissected instead of comforted. Neither is trying to hurt the other. They are simply speaking different native languages. Without awareness, that gap becomes a quiet breeding ground for resentment. Let us get even more honest. The online golden pair narrative rarely talks about conflict. In real INFJ and INTP dynamics, conflict styles can clash hard. INFJs tend to internalize, overthink, and search for deeper meaning in every shift of tone, every delay in reply, every subtle change in energy. They can spiral privately and rewrite the story in their head before they ever speak. INTPs, meanwhile, often do not see a problem until it is spelled out. They assume things are fine unless directly contradicted. When the INFJ finally voices their hurt, it may come out layered with built-up emotion. The INTP, blindsided, responds with explanations and logic instead of empathy. Now the INFJ feels dismissed, the INTP feels unfairly accused, and both retreat into their inner worlds. This is where you see the ghosting, the slow fade, the tragic almost relationship that had all the potential in the world but never learned to self-regulate. Underneath the aesthetics and compatibility posts, there is a brutal truth. Idealization is the silent enemy of this pairing. INFJs can idealize INTPs as the one person who finally gets them intellectually and spiritually. INTPs can idealize INFJs as the one person who will always interpret their awkwardness and never demand too much. But when real flaws show up, when the INTP forgets to text back or downplays a feeling, or the INFJ personalizes, overinterprets, or tries to steer the relationship too tightly, the disappointment hits harder because it is not just a person failing. It is a fantasy collapsing. The golden label made them believe it should be easier than this. In reality, healthy INFJ and INTP relationships are not built on type aesthetics. They are built on two people willing to deconstruct their own myths about themselves. So how does this relationship evolve beyond the hype? It starts with radical clarity. The INFJ has to practice saying what they feel and need in plain language, not coded signals. You do not get extra points for being mysterious. You get misunderstood. The INTP has to recognize that emotional data is still data. Just because something is not logical does not mean it is irrelevant. When an INFJ says, "This silence is hurting me," that is not drama. That is information. The INFJ grows when they stop assuming mind reading. The INTP grows when they stop assuming detachment is neutral. Little habits change everything. A quick message that says, "I care about you, but I need time to think," can calm the INFJ nervous system. A simple phrase like, "I am not attacking you, I am trying to understand," can soften the intensity of conflict for both. Next comes respecting each other's rhythm. INFJs process meaning first. INTPs process logic first. That is not incompatibility. It is sequencing. When a conflict hits, the INFJ wants to know what this means for us. The INTP wants to reconstruct what actually happened. If they try to force each other into their own sequence, they clash. If they allow both steps, they heal. Start with clarifying facts so the INTP feels grounded. Then move into emotional impact so the INFJ feels seen. Or reverse it when needed. The point is not to win. The point is to sync. When they learn to do this, their conversations become powerful. The INFJ brings the heart of the issue. The INTP brings the structure to solve it. Together, they can build solutions that are both emotionally honest and logically sound. There is also a beautiful strength in how this pair can protect each other. The INFJ can help the INTP translate their inner world into action, relationships, and purpose. They remind them that their ideas matter beyond their mind, that commitment does not have to feel like a trap. They model empathy that does not erase boundaries. The INTP can help the INFJ challenge unhealthy guilt, perfectionism, and people-pleasing. They calmly poke holes in narratives that say, "It is always my fault," or, "I have to save everyone." They remind them that saying no is not cruelty, and that not every emotional wave is a prophecy. When both are healthy, this is not a golden pair because the internet said so. It is golden because they refine each other. They strip away illusions, not each other's worth. But here is your warning label. This pairing becomes damaging when one or both are immature. An unhealthy INFJ can become controlling, martyr-like, or manipulative with silence and guilt. An unhealthy INTP can become dismissive, condescending, and emotionally careless, using logic to invalidate any feeling that makes them uncomfortable. Put those together and you get a dynamic where one keeps bleeding quietly and the other keeps justifying it. If that is your situation, no compatibility meme will fix it. Growth will. Accountability will. Learning to apologize without footnotes will. Choosing to heal your own patterns instead of hiding behind 4 letters will. Before we wrap up, here is a simple framework if you are in this pairing right now. First, schedule honest check-ins where both of you name what is working and what quietly hurts, without defending or fixing immediately. Second, translate. INFJ, if you are hurt, name the concrete behavior and the feeling attached to it. INTP, if you are confused, ask direct questions instead of going silent. Third, protect the friendship at the core. This pair shines when you remember you are allies, not opponents trying to win a debate or prove a prophecy true. Small, consistent efforts here will do far more for your connection than any compatibility chart ever could. So if you are an INFJ or INTP watching this, wondering if this pairing is your destiny, here is the truth. It is not about destiny. It is about development. When both people are committed to understanding themselves and each other, this match can feel uncannily aligned. Long walks with layered conversations, laughter over niche references, building creative projects, questioning the world together, sharing a quiet space where both feel understood without performing. When they are not doing the work, it is like handing 2 powerful instruments to people who never learned to tune them. The potential is there. The harmony is not. The real treasure in the INFJ and INTP dynamic is not that they match a golden label. It is that they invite each other beyond their comfort zones without demanding self-betrayal. The INFJ learns to sit with ambiguity. The INTP learns to sit with emotion. The INFJ brings devotion. The INTP brings clarity. Together, if they choose it consciously, they can build a relationship that is rare not because of the letters, but because of the level of honesty, patience, curiosity, and loyalty they cultivate. So do not worship the label. Use it as a mirror. Ask yourself, am I drawn to this pairing because of fantasy and fear, or because I am ready to meet another complex human being with humility and courage? If you are an INFJ and INTP building something together, let this be your reminder. The golden part is not automatic. It is earned. And if you want more deep dives into rare personality dynamics, emotional intelligence, and real-world compatibility beyond the clichés, make sure you like, subscribe, and stay with us. We have a lot more truth to uncover.